I am with my friend as a teacher in one of the university in Indonesia. So let me introduce myself. My name is Dimas Nurcahyanto as a student in cybersecurity university and the class of the SI 10 and 5. So I wanted to talking with my friends as a lecturer in one of the university in Indonesia. So Indra, let me to introduce yourself, please.
Okay, thank you, Dimas, for the introduction. Let me introduce myself here. My name is Muhammad Indra Putra. I'm a lecturer in the State Islamic University of Sunan Kalijaga. You might know it as Universitas Islam Negeri Sunan Kalijaga in Yogyakarta. So I teach English literature. And for today I'm going to help Dimas to answer his questions according to my experience. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you Indra for the opportunity for this time. So let me to talk like the chit chat to giving the bring an enjoyable situation. So I wanted to ask some the 5 question with you and let me to discuss about that. So the first of all, I wanted to ask with the question like, what are the most effective method for teaching English to student in Indonesian? What do you think about that?
Okay, that's a very good question, I think. So, one of the methods that, in my opinion, are actually effective for teaching English to students in Indonesia is actually by having a direct interactive role play communication to teach the student itself, because that method actually was inspired by a human or infant itself. Because why? We as a human, when we learn about language, we actually started from a conversation, a speaking. When our parents teach us like the words one by one, that's what actually by nature how human actually learn. So practically speaking, in practice, the way that I'm implementing that is encouraging the student to talk in English in a practice every time I was teaching the class. So they are have a confidence to answer in English, and I don't want to actually focus only on the grammatical, uh, but I like the growth of a human itself when they first speaking. Sorry, when you're first learning about the mother language, they are starting from a conversation, starting to remember a vocabulary instead of
Can you
learning.
giving the close on your phone so the people can to hear?
Sorry?
Because can you giving your phone to close on your voice because the people cannot to understand what you mean.
My voice are unclear. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, yeah. Your hear it's not clear.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Was what I was saying earlier actually heardable? Can you hear what I'm saying earlier, or do I need to repeat this?
Maybe in the middle the sentences I can't hear that. The middle like the parents teaching with the child.
Okay.
Can you repeat about that?
Sure. So if you feel like I am inaudible, you cannot hear me, just interrupt me on the way. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So like I said, this method of teaching is actually inspired by how parents teach their baby, teach the child, infants, when they first time trying to learn about their mother language. Like for example, when the parents have a child, first thing they're trying to learn to their child is like words like father, mother, uh, and vice versa. So that's actually the beginning of learning in a human, right? Starting from the child, they are learning from the way that their parents taught, like remembering vocabulary, adding a new vocabulary, like starting from what are already surrounding the kids itself, like home, like father, mother, and actually that is the one that I think we should be focused on instead of just not learning, no. Instead of just teaching them about grammatical aspect, which in my opinion are not actually accurate. All right, because based on my experience in college, in university, back when I was a student in a English literature major, there's a lot of my friends who actually really good at writing. Okay, they're really good at grammar, but when they are trying to speak, they're just having a hard time because they were just to focus on writing skills. So that's the one that I think we, as a teacher, need to be focused on, especially English teacher. So starting from speaking skills, and then slowly we're going to move to grammar, and then writing, so that they are going to have an easier time to study English in a structural manner, according to how humans learn when they are trying to learn about mother language, starting when they were a baby. So yeah, I think that's going to answer the first question. Hopefully, it's pretty long. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
All right. So the best your opinion about that the question like the best method for the child to learning about the English languages is that to improve the behavior to speak with the other people, right?
Uh, Correct. Yeah, yeah. We should be trying to first focus on their speaking skills.
So how could you to giving the implementation like the curriculum in Indonesia right now and how that to like the giving the similar curriculum like the Cambridge or in the KTSP is that a really different, right?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Cambridge curriculum actually is very good, but yeah, there are aspects of learning in terms of speaking that I think are actually very good. But I mean, the problem here is actually lies on the curriculum in Indonesia itself. I don't really know like how the curriculum works or the standard the government are implementing on the like high school level or yeah elementary school junior high school level. I don't really know, but in my class I would love to implement such things. I mean, we still learning according to the curriculum, still learning according to the curriculum, but I do modify the way I teach all of that lesson to my students by having a direct interaction through a direct conversation in classes, so that they will not only able to be very good at writing, be very good at the grammar, but also how do they able to have a conversation, because in real life, in reality, when you if for example if you go to other country, you try to speak their language, one of the very first thing that this foreigner, especially the American native speaker, will understand is how do they deliver. They will not be judging your grammar, but of course in writing is very important, but the way you do daily interaction, having the way or having to understand how people do conversation is actually very important in my opinion. So I hope that answers your questions.
All right. That's a very good answer, and I hope that we can to giving the contribution with this country as a lecturer, right? And okay, the second question I wanted to ask you, What are the main challenges students when they are face to face in learning in English? How do you think?
Okay, that's also a very good question. So I think the main burden, the main challenge of students in Indonesia learning English is actually from their environment itself. I would say that yeah, I was born and raised in a family that actually not uh, doesn't use English in a daily basis. However, however, most of the sorry, can you hear my voice?
Okay, I hear it.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Sorry, let me repeat my answer. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, one of the main challenge of our students in Indonesia is actually coming from the environment itself, because here in Indonesia, like if you speak English, especially if you live from a family with a middle to low economy, it's going to be something I would say rare, or people would judge someone that trying to learn English as like you're why you speak English? You're in Indonesia, you know. They're trying to judge
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
learning English or speaking English is actually something unnecessary. So the culture, the environment itself would be something that going to be main blocker, also main burden that actually blocking the students itself to learn about to learn English. Well, it's not always the case. There will be a family. There always be a family that support their kids to learn about English by learning by using English every day when they are at home, so that their kids could actually be encouraged. But it's not always like that. You know, there's just I would say a little percentage of family that actually do the things that I mentioned, because I was born and raised in a family that doesn't speak English. I would say we don't even use English in our daily basis. So yeah, it's very challenging for me. But one of the very first thing that triggers me to learn English is actually when I first playing video games. I met a lot of people from abroad, from different countries, and then I realized, well, English is actually very important. And back when I was in high school, when I was in a junior high school, I don't have an environment or friends that actually speak English. So my development in English is actually developed when I was in university, because not only I was supported by my major in English literature, but also the environment. I joined English club organization where I could have a time spend speaking English, having a discussion in English, which actually helped me the most. So yeah, the main blocker I would say is the environment itself, environment from their family, from their friends, who actually do discourage the student or the kids to speak English in a daily basis. Yep, I think that's the answer to the second question.
Okay. So it would be like the kids would be not be brave, not be brave enough to talking with the English or the secondary languages like the English proficiency languages. It's just because their family not support at all, not support at all to support to speaking like the other languages like that Indonesian. So they must have to a lot of motivation, right? Motivation to how to speak in English, how to like giving the important languages like the English, so they cannot to have motivation a lot to studying another languages. So that's it, yeah.
Correct, correct. So yeah, because when your environment could support the student to speak English, then it's going to be easier for the student to have a motivation. That's true. That's correct.
Okay. So the third question that I have: how is the significant the role environment to improving student in English skills. How about that?
Okay, cool. So I think yeah, it's related to my answer on the previous question. So this the environment play a significant role on the students' development in their English skills. How? Because that's actually so. Here's the thing. I think when you talk about language, in order for a person to master a language, is by practicing them, right? If
Yeah,
the environment doesn't support the kids to practice, meaning that practice like doing a small conversation at home, small conversation with their friends, like how do the kids or the person itself are be able to speak English, right? It's really, really, essentials. Environment is really essentials in the learning process. That's the answer for it. And also, when you met the right environment, like well, if I try to associate it with my experience, then yeah, it will be just like having, not having, sorry. It will be just like you are speaking your own language, your mother language. It's going to be very easy. So, uh, in order to learn any language, not just English, you need to practice it. You need to be used to speak it, read it, and write on it. So yeah, environment, those uh, have a significant uh, aspect. It's really impacting the student English skills. So yep, that's my answer. Thank you.
okay, so the environment play a role, significant role in the improving the English, just because we have to start with the close of the people who made it like the behavior, right? Behavior to use to speak in other languages and get Indonesian is not only like to implementation in English, but also like we wanted to learn something that there's nobody have to teach about that, and there's nobody to giving no well about that, and how to become we have to able to spoke or using like the different meanings about that. So yeah, the environment like the play has a role significant in the English skills just because they made like the behavior right.
Correct, correct. Well, if you want to give me another example, I think if you ever use Instagram, you're going to see like there was a viral video of a street vendor, yeah, street vendor who actually able to speak English very well in Bali. Well, because they very lucky to have a American customer or
Yeah,
English speaker customer. So because of that situation, I would say environment, they can do it. They can speak English. I would say better than most of the student in Jakarta, especially in high school or junior high school.
yeah,
And also
that's right.
like if you compare it with Malaysia, in Malaysia, you will see a lot of Malaysian people like speaking their in Malay language. They're mixing it with English language, right? They're gonna mix it. They're going so for some I would say yeah code mixing language. But in Indonesia, in Jakarta, when there's someone like that, well, they're gonna judge them like, oh, why you do that?
Yeah,
they like
correct.
people in Indonesia are just trying to discourage that person. Unless you're very good at English, then nobody cares. But if you like trying to learn, you make a mistake, your English does not perfect. Well, people are just trying to discourage you. So yeah, I think culture is one of the things that we are not very lucky to have a good one, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's really good question. Just really good answer about that.
Yeah.
So
All right.
okay,
Cool.
so Ra, I have the last question in the topics like the English. How important is the proficiency like the English languages, and how's the using in the job seeker right now?
Okay, very good question. So, English in the job market is very, very important right now. Why? Because yeah, we're living in the era of globalization, where across a nation, across country, there's no like there just no, feels like no physical border, right? We can access everything through our smartphone, through information in a different continent, in the US, in the Europe, and I would say since English are actually still an international language, well, it becomes like the most dominant language that we use on the internet, and that actually correlated with the job market itself because one of the not one of the sorry there's a lot of platform who especially in a job seeking platform who use English as their default language, like a LinkedIn, LinkedIn, many others, and also like English are not something that are very luxury on the job market. I would say right now it's becoming something that the company expect as a basic skills that everyone should have, and I would say that despite the low usage of English here in Indonesia, based on the data that I read from an article, but I apologize I couldn't give you the citation because I forgot to link. Uh, we are in Indonesian. Our English literacy skill are actually very low.
Yeah,
But right
that's
now,
right.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of I would say company here in Indonesia, and you know that a lot of company like a startup company that or maybe foreign investment company that put their company here in Asia for investment, they're gonna expect their candidates to have a proficiency skill in English. So English in the job market play a very essential role, play a very important role. So if you have a good English skills, speaking, writing, reading, then I would say it's gonna be easier for you to find a job, especially a job that I would say that how to say it? A job that are layak. What does it mean in English? Yeah, something that
proper,
that- yeah
proper,
yeah a job that's I'm sorry, what was that? Layak?
proper.
Sorry, a proper job. You know,
Yeah,
and you can also have a bigger opportunity to have a good career, especially if you want to look for opportunity out of Indonesia. So you have of where you are working. You will have a very big opportunity to work not only in Indonesia but also in other country, especially in the Western country or Europe. So yeah, proficiency in English in the job market, it's very important. It's very essential, and I would say despite English is not something that a luxury anymore. I mean, there's a lot of people who can speak English right now, but still, it's very rare, I would say, for Indonesian people are able to be at level of proficiency. So yeah, that would be my answer. Thank you. Correct. That's correct. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hello, welcome back to my video. Good afternoon, all of ladies and gentlemen, and also my lecturer. So today I wanted to talking about the English languages learning and development of the foreign languages learning in Indonesia. So my name is Dimas Nurcahyanto. I am from class Information System SI 105. So today I wanted to giving my presentation beside of my interview with my friends as a lecturer in University of the Islamic Indonesian with Sunan Kalijaga. My friends is Indra. So let's begin for the first slide. So yeah, English literacy refers to the ability to read, write, speak, and understand English effectively. It involves several skills, including writing skills, reading comprehension, speaking proficiency, and also listening skills. Besides of the interview results, I'm giving the resume like the summary include of this presentation. So my first question with the Mr. Indra is that effective methods for the teaching English. So yeah, the effective method for the teaching English is the parental involvement in learning. Why the parental involvement in learning? Just because we are in Indonesia, not have to use English as the first language or the mother tongue. So if we wanted to teach with the other people, we should start from the first order, like the family, parents, or brothers and sisters, and etc. And also the second is the practicing English regularly. Why the practicing English is such a very effective method for teaching in English. If we are used to speak another languages beside of the English, for the example, like we start using Indonesian, we also giving a practice Indonesian for every single day with the other people. So that we can use Indonesian languages and the proficiency we are the fully speak with other people, because we must and we should to speak Indonesian for the other people can understand what I mean. The same as like the practicing English. If we are used to speaking English regularly with the other people, and we got to put on our hats, English is must, English we should, English must be can. If we are to can't speak English, the other people must to understand. And also building confidence in speaking. If we are not confident, if we are very suspicious about that, how come that we have to speak with our people in the front of the people? Yeah, the confidence is such a very effective method. Same as like the practicing, we should to put in our head like the confidence that speaking the other people can understand. And also, my friends like talking because of this lecturer of the university is very know that about the Cambridge curriculum. If we are comparing in the KTSP curriculum in Indonesia or the curriculum Merdeka Indonesia is such a very, very different. In the forehead, We just emphasize with the phrase, grammar, and not practicing. It's such a very big fault. So the second is the challenges in learning in English. The challenges like the lack of the English speaking environment. If we are start in the middle class or like the first class in Indonesia, that we not must to speak in English, and we got to put in our head like English is not very important. How come that we cannot to use English synthesis? How come that we have to speak with the other people? With whom that we have to speak with those people? Nobody. There's nobody. That's a lack of the English speaking environment. How come that we have to solving the problem? We should define any environment that we want to speak in English. We should define them. We should to giving the adapted for it. So the second, like the social gap in access to education. Yeah, the same as like the I talking previously before. The social gap. If we come from the, I'm sorry to say, like the middle class or below of the class Indonesian, the most of them not speaking in English. They just speaking like, yeah, the basic or regularly Indonesian sentences, or they basically daily ethnicity, because of they don't giving important English as the languages. For what? They just come to talk with their people. They just come to talk with the equal of them. For what? They don't have giving a motivation of that. How come they're solving the problem is that we just throw it like the social gap. Throw it the social gap. We should to start to talking with the other people. We should come out like the comfortable zone. We should define like the other people come to different backgrounds. We should do talking with them, and we have to use to speaking in English. And also the third is the student motivation and the confidence. Yeah, I'm talking just the statement is like a change. They just like involve one by one. They just involve what anything else like that. Student motivation and confidence. If they don't have the motivation, what the reason they able to speak in English, what able they have to speaking like study in other languages, the Indonesian or the basically ethnical languages. For what? They just don't have the motivation. If we just started, if we just to start with talking to them and giving like the lecture for them, they don't have the motivation and confidence to talking like that. For what? It's gonna be useless. So the first of all, if we wanted to build the motivation in that, giving like English is the big languages in the world. I would say like English, China, France, and also the third is the Bahasa Melayu is a very big languages in the world. And if we able to speak in English, we can open the window of the world. We can read, we can talk, we can the sharing in other opinions that is not limited access just in Indonesian, but also we try to understand what the other people thinking. That's it. And also finally the family support and encouragement. Yeah, we should do get like the support for the particularly like the family. Our family would say like giving a support that to learning something we should have a support to giving like the good motivation in our body, and so that we can to encourage in our value, encourage our value for the understand what the other people thinking. So the next is the role of the environment in learning. The role environment in learning is that the support system from teachers, family, and peers. And the second, the positive behavior to encouragement. And the last, exposure to real life English usage. And also the next is the foreign language skills in the job market. So far, the foreign language skills in the job market, it is important. Yeah, I would say like it is important. For the I want to like giving the example like the issues, the very trending topic right now, like hashtag kabur aja dulu. What that means? The mean is like the corporate job in Indonesian is not very not able, is very not giving a consistent because the symptoms like they don't pretending in our public, they just pretending in the government, they just focus in that. And my bad, and our the expanding vocabulary opportunities, if we are able to speak another languages, it's not only English but also like the Chinese, Japanese. If we are able to speak in their languages, we can to open a new job, to new career. It's not only in our country, Indonesian, but also in the overseas. And also the second is the competitive advantage in job applications. We're able to know that the competitive advantage in job application is a very, very close, is a very challenges. So if we are understand their culture, if we understand the abilities, we can apply, and also the giving the opportunities, some of like that. And the third is enhancing cross-cultural communication. If we able to speak languages, their languages, for the example, my friends come to Japan, I from Indonesian, they speaking Japanese and I speaking Indonesian, but it's not only they just speaking based on their languages, but also they can to speak in English. If we are to start using English, we can to giving the communication, we can to change our culture, how the Japanese culture, how the Indonesian culture, and we can to split, we can to change. It's a very fun, isn't it? So my best, in my opinion, the parental involvement is crucial. Why? Because many parents in Indonesia do not speak in English themselves, which is limits their ability to help. So school should create interactive learning spaces where the student can practice daily. Yeah, just the basic communication to start from the basic, yeah, and giving their motivation, because the motivation is the key. Because the way English is taught in many schools, focusing too much on grammar rather than practical usage, make the student feel disencouraged. They just focus the material, they just focus the curriculum, they just focus like not practicing, just read, just writing. Okay, the ability to read and speaking, and they ability to read and writing is very good, but for the practicing, they just not have the confidence yet. And the strong English speaking environment, it's kind of helps students to learn naturally. However, since the Indonesian is not an English speaking country, students don't get enough exposure outside of the schools. So this is finally the conclusion. So the first of all, to improve English literacy in Indonesia, we need to giving it a combination structures learning and a supportive environment and motivation instead of just a memorizing. And the second is like the grammar. Grammar students should use English in the real life scenario, and also access to quality education should be improved so that all students, regardless of the background. And the third, giving like the equal learning opportunities. If we are to know, if we are to know like now, international school and the national schools is such very different. For the international schools, like for the higher social for Indonesian, because they wanted to pay much more to get like the quality of education. So that's why, because they using like the international curriculum, like the Cambridge, Oxford, and others, etc. They used to speak in English or daily basics instead of the Indonesian. In national schools, Indonesian, the board had like English proficiency. They just using their curriculum, like curriculum Merdeka, is not very effective enough for that. And beside of that, we must giving a challenges in ourselves if we wanted to know about the new world, if we wanted to open the big opportunities in our side, we should adapt it for the 4.0 for right now. Okay, that's it for my presentation. I hope you are to kind of understand what I mean. And I'm sorry if I to make some mistakes. And okay, goodbye. See you in the another videos. Thank you very much for the attention. I'm close it. Good afternoon from Jakarta, Nurcahyanto. Thank you very much.